off, tell us what brings you to Charleston.
Well, my family was originally from Charleston, South Carolina. I was born and raised in Sumter, but my parents and grandparents lived in Charleston. So we spent our summers coming here. And I went to school at Duke University, met my wife, and made Central North Carolina our home. But I still have this deep love and yearning for Charleston.
What did it mean to you to be back at Mother Emanuel and to be with this community today?
It brings up a lot of emotions, sadness, despair, but I'm also experiencing great hope this week because we are meeting with leaders literally from around the globe, and we're getting to be able to be a part of the healing of what I believe is America's original sin, and that is racism. And so we're seeing great strides as people of all different kinds of ethnic groups and socioeconomic levels are able to come together and take hands and move towards solidarity as we move through the years of this country trying to heal the racial scars of the past, but also of the present. And we just saw what happened in Orlando, and also trying to eliminate the racial scars that could be in the future.
And some have pointed out that a year later the Confederate flag is off
Yes.
of the state capitol, but there are still Confederate monuments all around the city and all across the state.
Right. I was actually here the weekend the Confederate flag came down off the state grounds in South Carolina. Again, I just felt like I was drawn here that weekend, and I spoke at Mother Emanuel Church that weekend. It is still around, but it's also baby steps. And I think that the good news is it came down off the state grounds, and we just keep striving for justice and peace, and we make those strides as we can.
And we've seen some family members of the victims say that
Right.
they forgive
Yes.
the shooter.
Yes.
Others saying it's still too hard for them yet.
Right.
What would be your message to those family members and this community a year out?
Well, one of the things I loved about Charleston was how the city handled that dastardly event, that tragedy. Most of the families forgave the man who perpetrated this crime immediately, and it was one of the most beautiful things. And we've seen in some cities around our country, when horrible events happen, the city erupts and blows up with more violence and more hatred. Charleston didn't do that. Charleston handled it with unbelievable grace and peace, and like you said, forgiveness. And if you know anything about forgiveness, it's not only for the victim, or not only for the perpetrator, I should say, but it's for the victims to be able to live at peace and release and move forward. And forgiveness is such an important part of that.
Can I have you say and spell your first and last name for us?
Sure. It's Benji, Benji, and Kelly, Kelley.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. I
Yep.
appreciate it.
Was that
And had
what
you
you were looking
been
for?
to-
No, I had not. But I had known about it. I had studied it. Mother Emanuel was a historic church. Dr. Martin Luther King preached here. It was a church where slaves founded that. Yeah.
It's interesting. I like it. The heat part is the part I'm getting used to right now.
How long have you been here?
Just like 8 months.
Okay. I met the guy who interviewed me yesterday. African American guy, short guy. I think he works with the same company. So you know what I'm talking
He
about?
does, Derek. Yes.
Derek, yeah, nice guy. Really enjoyed meeting with him yesterday.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
I got several shots for you, ma'am, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What with the bus?
So, tell me, you're a member of the AME churches?
Yes, I am, the 7th Episcopal District.
Okay, tell me why you came down to Charleston today.
We're here to serve the 1-year anniversary of my dear friend, Senator Pinckney. And we had a very good turnout, and we all enjoy being here for this occasion.
Would you mind taking off the sunglasses? I'm sorry, I just see myself in the reflection. And Tell me, it was a huge loss to the community, for the country. Tell me what it's been like for you and what the loss has meant for the AME churches.
Well, the loss is a loss, and what it meant to the AME church is that we lost a dear loved one, a dear friend, a dear clergyman. And we do realize that our loss is heaven's gain.
What would be your message to this community, to this country a year out?
My message would be to hold on to God's unchanging hand, because without God we can't do anything. And He has been strengthening this community, and we shall build on the strength and the promise that He has promised us. He says He's promised us that He would never leave us, nor would He forsake us, that He would be with us even until the end of time.
And what did it mean to you to see so many people come together? I mean, they're saying 5,000 people in that arena this morning?
Well, it means so much to me. It means that we are bridging the gap. There was a gap in all communities, but it shows me that the community is able to come together and just to show their love and their concern and for the Emmanuel 9.
Can I have you say and spell your first and last name for us?
My name is Franklin, Reverend Franklin E. Rutledge, Franklin Rutledge.
Great. And you work out of, you said, the Georgetown area?
I am from the Georgetown area. That's correct.
From D.C.?
No, Georgetown, South Carolina.
Okay.
It's only about 65 miles away from Charleston. Yeah, and I pastor a church there, an AME church, and the name of the church is Allen Chapel.
Great. Thank you very much.
All
I
right,
really
you're welcome.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Then when you put it in that pocket.
It was so much, it wasn't going to get a group there. Okay. I'm walking fast, but I want to go see what's wrong.
It's not there. And tell me what brings you out here today?
I'm out here in remembrance of those who lost their lives, and to support the family and to support the district as well. And just out here just to share love and peace in the midst of the tragedy that did happen.
Did you know any of the victims involved in this?
Yes, I knew some of them.
Tell me what that loss has been like for you and for this community.
It's been difficult, but we understand that God came for His very best, and in the church that particular night, they were the very best that were there. And so the loss, it stays with us. It doesn't go away. It gets easier, but as we remember, sometimes tears do come back again.
What did it mean to you on a personal level to see thousands of people inside that arena this morning?
It's the unity, and it shows the world that, we're still together in peace, and we're fighting hatred with peace, love, and understanding.
And with that shooting in Orlando, happening so close to this, is it tough, I guess, to kind of wrap your mind around the fact that this keeps happening, mass shootings keep happening in this country?
Yes, it touches the heart, but until some changes are made in, legislation and in other areas, unfortunately those things happen, and they may continue to happen. We pray that they won't, but we pray that someone will make the change and do what needs to be done.
Can I have you say and spell your first and last name for me?
Excuse me?
What's your name?
Belinda Frazier.
Can you spell that for me?
Belinda Frasier.
Great. And what's your the organization that you're?
I'm with the Women's Missionary Society, and I serve as the area chairperson here in the Edisto District.
Great. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cold water? Thank you. You don't have enough ice?
They're back too far initially. All right, Bird. You got your hand together. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Smile, everybody. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Got you. Yo, you come back in here. Get somebody to get him. You want me to get him? No, we can't. I can't. They got it open on the side. Thank you.
Yeah, you sure do.
Come on. Yeah. Did it? Okay, now. Anybody else want one? Yeah, me and her together.
About your work here in this community.
Yes, I work for the Department of Mental Health at the Charleston Mental Health Center in West Ashley. And what I am is a supervisor of counselors who work in this community with school-based therapists, is also working with adults in this community.
So why did you feel it was important for your team to be out here today?
Well, we are an emergency response team, and we've been working covering this population, helping people who are going through the grieving time right now. Last year was a difficult time where people were in a state of shock. This year the grieving is really present. And so our team is here to be available to anybody who's grieving right now, and just to be available to them with their emotional and psychological needs.
And we've seen some family members of the victims say that at this point they're still grieving. This incident has forever changed their lives. What do you say to those family members?
Yes. Well, we really are just to be available. If someone feels to express themselves to us, we're here to let them express themselves and to go through counseling. And some people have decided to actually sign up with us and work with us on a long-term basis. We have counselors that are actually working with some family members over the year, and are now, some of the people are just coming now because they're feeling the grieving experience at this point. So we're just there to say we're here to help them, counsel them through. And last year there was a lot of availability to the families, just more in forms of support, just bringing food and just being present to them, and just hugging and supporting them in that way. This year more of those grieving experiences are coming to the forefront, and so there's more psychological concerns that we're available for.
Can I have you say and spell your first and last name for me?
My name is Deborah Dinolfo.
Can you spell that for me?
Dinolfo. First name is spelled Debra.
Great. And one more time, your organization?
Sure. It's the Charleston Mental Health Center, and we're in West Ashley, and this is here in Charleston.
Thank you so much.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it. Tell me a little about your connection to the shooting here.
I'm a member of Mother Emanuel and a family member of one of the victims, Myra Thompson.
Tell me a little about what this loss has meant for you and for your family.
Well, I mean, it's been a tremendous blow to the family and the community and, you know, to the nation. But in light of everything that's happened, so much good has come of it. So that has been the blessing, and I think what has helped us to kind of move forward in this process. We still have a long way to go, but I think we're getting stronger every day, and the love and support from the community has been really, really helpful to us in our healing process.
And tell me, this is an open, it was a Bible study. Everyone was welcome. Has that changed in the last year?
No, it never changed, and it never will. So that's who we are. That's what we're accustomed to doing, and that's what we'll continue to do. So we can't let someone else's actions change what we believe and, how we act. So.
And we've seen some family members, right after forgive the gunman. Others say that they haven't yet.
Right.
I'm not sure what your position is on it. Or.
Well, I have forgiven because I don't think we're able to carry any of that with us and still be able to move forward. You can only release it, and just make sure that you understand that forgiveness doesn't mean letting someone off the hook. Forgiveness means letting yourself off the hook for feeling any animosity, any hatred, because we don't want to feel any of that, because that's what caused this. So it wasn't about him. It was more about us and being able to receive the peace that we needed in order to heal.
And what has it meant to you today?
They're opening the street up.
Oh, okay. Sorry. To see all these people coming out here.
It's just a true testament to what everything that has happened means to our community, and just to the amount of support that we've received and that we hope will continue. And it was just a beautiful service today. So it wasn't a sad occasion. I mean, we celebrated. There were some painful moments, but all in all, it was really beautiful and just touching.
Can you say and spell your first and last name for me?
Say that again?
Can you say and spell your first and last name for us?
Yes, Jamila Gadsden, Jamila, Gadsden, Gadsden.
Great. And one more time, your family member that you lost in this?
Myra Thompson.
And what was her relation to you?
My aunt.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. Do you mind if we just get a couple shots of
Yeah,
this?
I wanted to get a picture of your...
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. I really
killed like this, but it means a lot to other people and other survivors that when they see that somebody cares, that somebody's reaching out to do something with gun violence.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, in 3, 2, 1. It's been exactly a year since 9 people were shot and killed here at Mother Emanuel. I'm CBS North Carolina's Amy Cutler, and I'll have more on how they're being remembered here in Charleston. All right, in 3, 2, 1. It's been exactly a year since 9 people were shot. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Oh. In 3, 2, 1. It's been exactly a year since 9 people were shot and killed here at Mother Emanuel. I'm CBS North Carolina's Amy Cutler here in Charleston, and I'll have more on how they're being remembered coming up. Yeah. All right, in 3, 2, 1. It's been exactly a year since 9 people were shot and killed here at Mother Emanuel. I'm CBS North Carolina's Amy Cutler here in Charleston, and I'll have more on how they're being remembered. Flowers there that take cute. right, in 3, 2, 1. All day we have seen. Oh, yeah. Oh, yep, yeah. Sorry. All right, in 3, 2, 1. All day we have seen people stopping by the Emmanuel AME Church. Behind me you can see flowers that pay tribute here to the 9 people who were killed and 3 survivors. And while many in this community are still grieving, it's also clear this tragedy has brought them together. All right, in 3, 2, 1. And that has meant, oh, crap. All right, in 3, 2, 1. And that has meant a lot to the families of the victims. Now, I also had the chance to speak with a pastor from Durham who brought his family here for today's event. You'll hear from him coming up at 6 o'clock. In Charleston, I'm Amy Cutler, CBS, North Carolina. All right. All right, track 1 in 3, 2, 1. Emmanuel AME Church is historic. It's one of the oldest black churches in the South. 1 year ago today, a gunman went into that place of worship during Bible study and opened fire. 9 parishioners, all African American, were killed. Track 2 in 3, 2, 1. Governor Nikki Haley describing the heartbreak the state and the country felt following this mass shooting. Her speech, part of a service to remember the victims and the 3 survivors. Thousands attended, many of them traveling for several hours. Pastor Benji Kelly of Durham was among them. Track 3 in 3, 2, 1. That hope, Pastor Kelly says, is in the response. People of all different races and ethnicities coming together in the wake of this tragedy. Track 4 in 3, 2, 1. Jamila Gadsden. Track 4 in 3, 2, 1. Jamila Gadsden lost her aunt, Myra. All right, Myra. Track 4 in 3, 2, 1. Jamila Gadsden lost her aunt, Myra Thompson, in this shooting. She says she's been moved by what she's seen, picking up in 3, 2, 1. She says she's been moved by what she's seen and tells me Emmanuel AME will remain an open, welcoming place. Picking up again in 3, 2, 1. She says she's been moved by what she's seen and tells me Emmanuel AME will remain an open, welcoming place. That's it.
It was, and I loaded the ball. I have 4 kids. It feels like 12, but it's only 4 kids. And they needed to stretch. They needed there. And so I saw the face of your congregation member. And I was standing there with my children when she began to speak. And this, have mercy on your soul. And I grabbed my children. And I pulled them in front of the television. And I said, I want you to watch this. I heard many things in those words, as you well know. I heard theological courage. Some of them heard forgiveness that was too soon. An invitation to live in and to labor toward a world that is not in fact defined by violence but by mercy. That's what I heard. God's work is not done. And I told my children the work of remembering what we've been, what has happened to us. I said this to some of you last evening. I want you to remember what we've inherited. And do you know what it is that we've inherited? We have inherited the law that you think, could you use another word, please? Actually, no. Because what I mean is that we have economic history, our political history, our voting history, our medical history, anchored at the University of Virginia, where I now serve, where experiments were carried out on African Americans. What about South Africa? It was pretty bad over there, wasn't it? It was. You know how long apartheid lasted? 46 years.
It has been a tough day for this community. For the families of the victims, the grieving continues. And today is yet another reminder of all they've lost. say it is time for this community to move on. Now, there is another service scheduled for 7 o'clock tonight. We will be at it, and we will have another live report coming up tonight at 11 o'clock. Live in Charleston, I'm Amy Cutler, CBS North Carolina. Thanks. Great stuff, he said. In 3, 2, 1. Today marks 1 year since 9 people were gunned down inside this church in Charleston. I'm CBS North Carolina's Amy Cutler, and I'll have more on how the victims are being remembered coming up. Yeah. All right, in 3, 2, 1. It's been exactly a year since a mass shooting took place here in Mother Emanuel in Charleston. I'm CBS North Carolina's Amy Cutler, and I'll have more on how the victims are being remembered coming up. All right, so, okay. Tell me what today has been like for you, your family.
Well, first of all, it's been a long day, and I know everyone is tired, but everything was good. Everything turned out really good. I know the families do appreciate everything that everyone is doing. It's been hard, It's been hard. It's been hard for especially the families and the church family community. But with all the support, everything's been coming together really, really well.
Tell me a little about your connection to Mother Emanuel.
Well, born and raised right here. My mom, Miss Boston. Well-known member. Just a family church. Everyone here is family. And that's basically how we all stay connected. Everyone's family. Everyone is welcome.
We've heard from a couple of people that this tragedy has brought the community, the congregation closer. Do you feel like that's happened?
I do. I do. And it's also still continuing to happen. We actually thought everything would have calmed down, but in actuality, no, it hasn't. People are still coming. People are still coming. People are still giving. Everything is still as it was when it first happened. People are still coming around. Everything's been, it's trying. You get to be a little tired, but like I said, we appreciate it. We appreciate the love, the concern, the gifts. Everything's been good. Everything's been good.
Let me ask, I know initially after it, there was some security that was stepped up. That has gone away now, right? Aside from today.
The security has not totally went away. They're here during different things that go on at the church, and I know you can only understand why. It's needed sometimes because people still feel a sense of, sometimes it's there. But overall, I think it's still going to be needed. Just the little that we do have, but they still have security. And then we have our own also. So it's still needed. It's still needed.
Can I have you say and spell your first and last name for me?
Tara Boston Wright.
Spell that for me?
Tara. My last name? Boston -Wright.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so tell me a little about what brought you from Atlanta here.
Well, I think it was important to come and show support for the people of Charleston, for the families of the church. And I think that we need to commit ourselves to not just commemorating the victims, but we need to support the families, and we also need to work for more better policy. Because some of the issues that came out around this particular tragedy, as well as the Orlando tragedy, speaks to the policy in our nation. So we need to do a better job as a society.
And when you say policy, what policies in particular are you talking about?
I'm talking about length of time for background checks for gun control. Do we really need assault rifles in the hands of average citizens? That's something that we as a people need to address.
Why was it important for you personally to be here inside this church today?
Because of its historic nature, its history in African American churchhood. It was also important because the tragedy occurred here and because the people of this church, those families, are really demonstrating to us how we should move forward with forgiveness and with action. So that it was so important for me to come here.
Can I have you spell your first and last name for us?
First name is Gaytra, Gaytra. Last name is Lathan, Lathon.
All right, thank you so much.
Hopefully
I
you have
really
something you
appreciate
can.
it.
You created all of us. We, where it is we've come from. Teach us how to love. Your enemies. How can we pretend to know your name until I pray? Teach us how to love the way that you love. Oh Lord, Jesus, forgive us, for we know we've lost our way. Oh Lord, Jesus, please heal us, give us love.
And one of the leaders for One Charleston. Welcome him as he comes.
Well, good evening. Good evening. I'm honored and humbled to just worship with brothers and sisters from around the city, around the nation. But before I begin, do me a favor. Ask the person's name to who's on the left and to who's the right of you. If you don't know them, just get their name real quick. Right now. Go ahead. Get their name. Person on the left and the person on the right. There will be a test later, so remember those names. Get the names. Name for now. It's always tricky getting people to talk. You never can bring them back. Names in their mind, they've got to remember. They got them locked in. Do you need to type it in? You got 3 names. 4. All right, it's always an overachiever. We're just in a time of prayer. And while we think about these 2 names, I want to talk about this sacred space. And there's an interesting passage in 1 Kings 19 where God needed to get Elijah's attention. And he pulled him away, and he began to instruct Elijah on the voice of God and how to commune with God. And he sent a terrible windstorm, and the rocks were disrupted, and he blew Elijah. So we want to create a sacred space, but we also need to create a place of stillness. That monkey brain that he talked about is epidemic in our culture. It's hard for us to be still and hear that still small whisper of God. And so I wanted to pray, but I want us to just spend a few minutes in just quieting our hearts and the distractions and all the things that we have to do after this, all the things that we should be doing now maybe, all the text messages and phone vibrations that may be going on, and just create a space of stillness. As we sing, we're going to have a night of worship and praise. I mean, even Mozart said that music is not in the notes, but in the silence between. And so I want us to grab hold of that silence, not just for the enjoyment of music's sake, but so that we can hear God. We've been hearing lots of men talk over the last couple of days about various things, have we not? Isn't it time we just spent some time and just hear what God has to say to us and to the city and how we should respond? So remember those names, because before I pray, I would like you to take a few moments right where you are and just pray by name for the person that you just got. You don't have to grab their hand. You don't have to pray out loud. You can pray silently where you are, but I want you to intentionally pray right now. Take a few minutes to pray by name for that person sitting on the left of you and that person sitting on the right of you. And in a few minutes, I'll close this and we'll pray together. So pray right now.
Thank you, Philip. I have the fortunate privilege of introducing our next worshiper. I want to establish a couple of things just really quickly. Everybody say amen. Everybody say hallelujah. Everybody say thank you, Jesus. Everybody say you're worthy. Everybody say sang. All of these are acceptable forms of engagement. Okay? First thing. That's the first thing. All right? Now, if you're capable, stand up. All right? Wave your hand. Just rock your head back like this. And then just do this one for me. Just do your arm like that. All of those are acceptable forms of engagement. All right, you can take your seats. You can take your seats. You know, we get into oftentimes spaces where we're from different houses of worship. We have different practices, and we don't know what's acceptable. So what we're trying to do is release each of us. You know, sometimes God moves you. You want to do things. This is a safe space.
I'm from across the water in Mount Pleasant. No, it's true. My wife Sarah and I came to be Charlestonians in August of 1998, and love this city, love the people here, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here tonight. And I want to introduce my friends Roderick and Natasha Simmons, who do great work over at the Dream Center in North Charleston. They're going to help accompany me tonight. And so this song is called Sovereign. I wrote it a few years ago in a difficult season where things were not going well. You know, it's easy to praise God and love God when things are wonderful and the sun is shining and there's joy all around. Well, this song was not written in one of those seasons. This is a song where, I begin to understand a little bit more of God's sovereignty, that He's still in control in the good times and in...
My protection, that is He's my day and my tomorrow. God, He's my all and all. Joy and the strength of my life. He moves all pain, all misery and strife. He's proud, and I'll never, 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 never.
Various services here at the Emmanuel AME Church all day. They have been welcoming the public in. All of it to remember the 9 people who were shot and killed 1 year ago. They have touched so many lives in this community and beyond. Resilient community on display here throughout the day. Now, the parishioners here have said that they have been amazed by the amount of support that they have received from people around the world. The donations, they say, continue to come in. Now, there are several services that are also being held throughout the weekend. We will be at them for tomorrow morning and have another live report coming up for you at 9 a.m. For now, we're live in Charleston. I'm Amy Cutler, CBS North Carolina. Thanks. Okay, great. Thanks. The services will continue on today here at the Emmanuel AME Church. Sorry. They're welcoming the public in. All right. This is going to be it. All right. In 3, 2, 1. The services will continue on today here at the Emmanuel AME Church. They are welcoming the public in, all of this to honor the 9 people who were shot and killed. They touch so many lives in this community and beyond. All right. And in 3, 2, 1, parishioners saying they have been overwhelmed by the support that they have received from people around the world. The donations continue to come in. Now, as I said earlier on, the events continue on. There are several events here marked. There are several events that will continue to honor those 9 people. We'll have more on that coming up at 9 o'clock, Charleston. Okay. All right. In 3, 2, 1. Parishioners here say they have been overwhelmed by the in 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1. Parishioners say they have been overwhelmed by the crap. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Parishioners say that they have been overwhelmed by the all right, this is it, and then in 3, 2, 1. Parishioners say they have been overwhelmed by the support that they have received from people around the world. The donations continue to come in. Services, again, to honor those 9 people will continue today. We're going to have more on that coming up at 9 o'clock. In Charleston, I'm Amy Cutler, CBS North Carolina. All right. It will, Bill Bierschel and Justin. It'll be another tough day for this community, but those around here, those at Emmanuel AME, say it was important for them to come together to mark this 1 year. Behind us here, you can see flowers that have been set up in front of this church to remember the 9 people who were shot and killed, again, 1 year ago. Friday, there were a series of events. This is a look at the service that was held last night inside Emmanuel AME, or Mother Emmanuel, as many call it. There were several dozen people there. They were there to support one another, to comfort one another. They had music, and the pastor even made a few jokes. Parishioners I spoke with say it is important to honor those that were killed, but also to unite as they move forward. Many saying they have forgiven the gunman and are relying on their faith to heal. Now, another live look back out here. You can see the street in front of Emmanuel AME is closed right now. They are preparing for a walk that will take place at 11 o'clock this morning. You can see some Red Cross members on the street here. Expected to be a hot day, so they'll be providing those walking with some water. We're going to be out here and have more details on that walk for you coming up in the next half hour. For now, we're live in Charleston. I'm Amy Cutler, CBS North Carolina. Community members, though, telling me that they have been touched by the outpouring of support that they have received from across the state and across the country. There were thousands that attended just one service here yesterday morning. Take a look at this. This is video from a service inside Emmanuel AME yesterday evening. There were several dozen people there. They were there to support one another and to comfort one another. They had music, and the pastor even made a few jokes. Parishioners I spoke with say it's important to honor those that were killed, but also to unite as they move forward. Many saying they have forgiven the gunman who shot and killed 9 people and are relying on their faith to heal. Now the events will continue today, first at 11 a.m. with a walk here. You can see the street in front of the Emmanuel AME Church is closed right now. They're also going to be releasing some doves and dedicating a tree. We'll have more on all of that for you coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. For now, we are live in Charleston. I'm Amy Cutler, CBS North Carolina.
Okay.
Not there.
Okay.
And so, tell me what the last couple of days have been like for you.
I think it's been for, especially those members, the members, and for me, just, really hectic. And sometimes not sure whether we had really enough time just to pause and reflect, but it's been good. We have been uplifted. We have been encouraged. We have been comforted by the outpouring, the continuous outpouring of love, the partners that have surrounded us. It's helped us because that's our prayer and desire, is that at all times that we will never forget the life and the legacy of the 9 whose lives, for us ended too shortly, but for God, he knew exactly the timeline on last June 17, 2015. And I know for me as a member of the church who, was so close to everything, was so close to that day, that yesterday you walked through the minutes and the hours just thinking about how things were. I thought about that morning of June 17th last year, how it started off so promising, looking forward to a lot. Thought about that afternoon at the quarterly conference where my very good friend, Reverend DePayne Middleton, Dr. and I, we traveled in ministry together, and we just recently united with Mother Emanuel, and looking forward to working and moving forward in ministry, to working with Reverend Pinckney. So just thought about the minutes, thought about our last time at prayer, thought about the quarterly conference, thought about saying goodbye to her when I was leaving, because I left the church at like 7:30 that evening. Thought about those of us, including myself, who were regulars at Bible study, but for that night we had some emergencies. So you just reflect on that. Then when I looked at the clock about 8:45, 8:50 last night, I thought about doing that time last year when the calls started coming in saying, "Do you know what just happened?" So you kind of just walked back through that day. And I think as I thought about the anniversary, knowing that for many of us who were so close to it, yes, it was an anniversary yesterday, but for many of us who were so close to it, we live with the memory every day. So as we reflect on it every day. So it wasn't like, oh, this is the day we reflect on it, just sort of, okay, this is another day that we're reflecting on it. But again, just encouraged by everything that we saw and everything that we're continuing to see. It just continues to bless us, and so thankful that the message continues to go out that hate won't win. And even, during this time, just thinking about Orlando and how we all thought about how that happened the same week we had this situation. So, our hearts continue to go out because we can imagine what they're going through. We just couldn't imagine we had 9, but 49. And so what those families are doing. So we're continuing to remember those families much in prayer and remembering that community.
What does it mean to you to see all of these people coming out? I know we're expecting the walk to start soon. When you look around and you see all these people, some of them members, some of them total strangers, what goes through your mind?
Well, I think it reminds us of just what we've experienced all year. Believe it or not, we thought that maybe after the first month, the second month, the visits would kind of lessen, that people would kind of forget about it. But we're so appreciative and thankful that every Sunday we're surrounded by visitors from far and near. Every Sunday, every week, sometimes in Bible studies, we have people coming in from far and near. That people now, when they make a trip to Charleston, Mother Emanuel is on their agenda. And the outpouring of love continues. So again, it helps us and encourages us. And it does what, for the families and those of us who are close to the families know, it keeps the memory of our loved ones alive and strong. And so that's the blessing, that we just continue to see the good, that we don't focus on, we never forget what happened, but then we continue to look at all the good that's coming. And for those people whose lives were lost, and I would say they gave their lives, that many of them, all of them, had a real commitment to ministry. So we're seeing that even though they're not here physically with us, their ministry lives on. And so that's the blessing of it.
And why hold a series of events? There was the one service yesterday, but there are events really all weekend.
Because I think that, one of the things is that we have so many people that want to do something. And then it was looking at the 9 days, and that was something that came from the community, that it was 9 people. So let's look at 9 days of remembrance. Of course, the 9 days have stretched out even further because there's so many partners that wanted to do something. In fact, probably if they had accommodated everyone on the schedule, we probably would be doing 30 days. So, again, but, that's just how many people we had, and we know that we cannot put everybody into one day. So just how many people we had that wanted to come, wanted to share, wanted to minister, wanted to give, and we never want to deny a person that opportunity to do that. I think as a community, we didn't want to do that.
Can I have you spell your first and last name for us?
Brenda, Brenda, Nelson, Nelson.
Great. And what's your title or position here?
Well, I'm on the ministerial staff, but I'm Dr. Brenda Nelson. I also work in the school district, and I'm on the ministerial staff here. Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very
Sure.
much. I really appreciate it.
You guys chatting real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great that there's this outpouring of support.
Right.
I imagine it's pretty overwhelming for you.
Right. Well, I think we've gotten so accustomed to it. It's become our new normal. So it's just becoming the new normal. Hi. How are you? I'm doing good. Yeah. She's one of the persons organizing them all.
Oh, okay, great.
Good to see you.
Hi.
How are you?
Amy.
Alana Simmons. Nice to meet you.
She's one of the persons you might want to,
On the way back, we're gonna go catch Councilman Gregory. I'm assuming it's this way.
Yeah, he's in the auditorium. I'm headed to Gilliard Center as well.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great these little patches. Really,
Yeah, well, they did that so we can identify, so members won't feel left out. Because I think one of the things last year, some of the events that we've had, members and families have felt like when they get there, they have no seats, and they feel like it's for them. So again, to make sure that we're inclusive. Again, we want to include the public, but we also need to think about, families and members.
Not in. Come over here so that we have this. Sorry. Okay. So talk to me again about the making and the painting and what you're trying to do and accomplish.
Caught up in it.
Because what happened here was a real tragedy, and I think I wanted to be a part of it so I could be more educated on what happened here and how big of an impact it has had on the state and what we could do to help prevent things like this from happening in the future.
What was going through your mind seeing all these people out here?
It was really great to see all these people coming together, like such a diverse group of people out here for one cause, unified. I believe this is called the Walk for Unity, and based on the group of people I've seen here today, that this does embody that.
Have you ever taken part in anything like this before?
Back in North Carolina, I have gone to several of the Memorial Monday marches, and my dad is on the board of the Gun Sense group here, so I've been to a couple of things here as well.
And you said you visited the church yesterday?
Yeah, it was really kind of chilling and awe-inspiring to be able to walk in the sanctuary where the 9 people were shot that night.
Can I have you spell your first and last name for me?
Alexandra Pritchard.
Spell your last name for us?
Pritchard.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. How old are you?
I'm a freshman at Raleigh Charter High School.
Oh, okay. So you're a high school freshman?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Happy to.
And God bless this great city, Charleston.
There are many things we could speculate concerning. We ask that Sister and set the stage for the actual occasion.
One member from each family to come forward. You can bring auntie. Come on. One member from each family.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Hundreds coming together at this square, part of a series of events to honor the 9 people who were shot and killed inside the Emmanuel AME Church here in Charleston 1 year ago. Hundreds. Let me do that again. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. The day started with a walk, parishioners joining with folks from across the area and beyond, all of them here to show their solidarity with the Emmanuel AME Church. It was in that house of worship during Bible study that a gunman opened fire. 9 people died, 3 survived. For the families of the victims, their friends and neighbors, the healing continues, many of them relying on their faith to do it. But this tragedy has also brought this community closer. We spoke with a minister from Emmanuel and a young woman from Raleigh who came down to take part. All right. So why so many events? Those with Emmanuel AME say several people came forward with ideas on how to honor. All right. In 3, 2, 1. So why so many events? Well, people with Emmanuel AME say so many people came forward with ideas and they wanted to incorporate as many of them as they could. In Charleston, I'm Amy Cutler, CBS, North Carolina. Yes. All right, in 3, 2, 1. So why so many of these events? Well, people from the Emmanuel AME Church say so many people came, yeah. All right, in 3, 2, 1. So why so many events? Those with Emmanuel AME say so many people came forward with ideas of how to honor those 9 people killed, and they wanted to incorporate as many of them as they could. In Charleston, I'm Amy Cutler, CBS, North Carolina. Okay.